Well, they're not finalized, but from my position, that's how it looks. It needs to be readjusted and slid around a little farther, I think. And a couple of them. This one needs to come up a little. They all need to be adjusted for my eyesight, but as far as a 3D printed solution, that's not bad actually. I need to readjust it there and get the adjustment right, but whenever I do put the gauges in there, or if I have one free, I mean, gauges will go like right there. So, I mean, for, yeah, 3D printed, not bad. I think once I get them finalized and adjusted right, I think they'll look great. Don't you? And very minimal extrusions, actually hardly any, maybe a quarter of an inch there, but once they're adjusted, they probably won't even actually be able to notice them at all. Alright, we're going to test this hydraulic system out. Now we know we don't need a high pressure oil pump because it looks like it's putting out plenty, at least 2,000. So it's doing more than enough. So it's not the high pressure oil pump, it's not the fuel. That's good to know. It could be, I'm thinking it might be the top of valve cover wiring harness. I do have a PCM on order, a power control module. It'll be here in about 10 days. Just because there's some errors on the old errors on there, and it looks kind of nasty. I've had some other issues. But it might just be a wiring issue. But I'm betting it's the valve cover, and hopefully it's not a bad injector, but it's a good possibility it could be the valve cover electrical thing. So I'm going to order a couple of those, and we're going to replace that. I mean, the next option to check after I get this put back together, God, that exhaust leak is horrible. There's also a possibility it might be just a partially clogged exhaust on here. And so the other day, whenever I was doing the test drive, whenever I put the old clamp on it, we was driving and the exhaust popped off. It actually pushed it off with the force that was coming out of the turbo, which shouldn't happen. I mean, that would make me think that I had a clogged exhaust or something like that. And if we have enough of a clog in the exhaust that it's not allowing it to go through the exhaust, it may not allow it to get enough air into the cylinders, and it may start, you know, it can do it at low RPMs but not high RPMs. We'll figure this out. But a new muffler for it's about 130 bucks, and I don't know if we can just do it ourselves or if we have to pay someone to do it. But it might be worth it just to have someone put a new muffler on this. Well, you know, sometimes mechanical stuff is kind of sketchy. Anyhow, let's do this. Actually, looking at that, it'd be easier for something to get in there and clog it up. I don't know if that'll help or not. It is worth a shot. Actually, there's one other spot I need to knock on too. Yeah, why didn't you do this earlier? Because I'm an idiot. Usually beating on stuff doesn't work for me. Okay, there we go. We beat on it. Now I'll start it up here in a second and see if it got rid of the problem. Broke it. It's worse now. It was worth a shot. We'll try to find a place in town that would do work on it here, because it's either a stuck injector, or it's a bad wiring harness, or it's a clogged exhaust. So the other option is we can take off the exhaust and stick it outside the thing and see if it still does it. And if it does, it's not a clogged exhaust. So that's the next thing to do, is unhook the exhaust and shoot it outside, or pull off the valve cover and see if we got a wiring harness problem, which is a possibility, because I'm not sure if this has the quarter mod done on it. So if it has one or two cylinders not running because it's not making good connections on the wiring harness, that would make sense. But we can also pull the valve cover off and shine a light in there and see which injectors aren't working, or which injector is more likely stuck. I mean, there is a possibility we could just turn it off and cycle the engine, and see if any fluid comes out of any of the cylinders, because if it's leaking in there, that could be part of it. God, it stinks. But we know it's not the high pressure oil pump. We know it's not the turbo now. We know it's not what it's not. You know, we know it's not on the intake, and we know that most of the inputs are clear. We haven't pulled the valve cover things off to look at it, but it's going to be a pain in the butt to get to this right side. But I can get to all the bolts. I'll have to unhook one of the things, but I can get the valve cover on this side. I might just go ahead and try pulling that valve cover off really quick and see, because I think that's missing on that side also, and just make sure, or do the quarter mod on that side and then move over to this side. But when I recorded it, I don't think I recorded the injection ports going, so there's that. Well, we pulled off the valve cover again. I wanted to see if this thing was unplugged, and it kind of was. It wasn't fully unplugged, but it was unplugged enough that I could push it back on there. So we're doing the quarter mod, where the quarter goes underneath that and keeps it from coming undone. And I'm pretty sure that's the problem both of ours, but I'm going to try to run it here and look for oil ejections out of the back of it as much as I can. I'm gonna record it again as you guys are fixing to see the record for the first time anyhow, but we're gonna do it again because, well, I don't want to open this again. So, see, I need to shove something on here and hook this up to the filter so we're not sucking horrible shit in. It doesn't have to be on there that good, it just needs to be better than where it's at. Okay. Yes, I'm doing this on a hot engine. I'm just tired of messing with it. Can't see it on camera here, but it is shooting oil out the ejection port in all of them since I connected that and put the quarter underneath it. So I do believe this was part of my problem, if not my main problem. It does not show up very well in here. Okay, they're all ejecting. That one I couldn't quite tell, but I could see the stuff coming out of it. So they're all working. At least they're going in and out. So this side's good. We got the quarter in there. See it right there underneath that thing? I'm gonna cover it up before this wind throws any more sand in there. We don't want that much sand in there, but we gotta do what we gotta do because I can't stay here that much longer. I'm going crazy. All right, next one. All right, it's been an hour and a half just trying to get all these screws out and everything off. Do you see it? You see that gap right there on that plug in there? That's why we're having issues. That's why we can't drive down the road. That's breaking up the freaking thing. This needs a quarter mod on it. Once the quarter mod's done, this won't be a problem ever again. That's our problem. Guarantee that's our problem. Okay, this is a pain in the I have to access all these screws over here from the fender well, that one up front, or on the tops from here. You have to be double jointed to access all this. You really do. I am like doing this weird double jointed thing to access everything in here. It's a pain in the butt, but I see the problem, and so we're gonna pull that up. We're gonna put a quarter in there. We're gonna throw it all back together, and everything's gonna run fine. I bet you. Okay, I'm gonna record a voiceover here. Throughout the working on the truck process, we had several weather events that we had to deal with that I could not work on it, and it was just sitting there with the open air coming into my rig because we couldn't work on it, and there's no point in buttoning it up until we figured out the problem. But it did end up being, initially, we had a little tough start, but once we got on the road and got going, a lot of our power was back to how it was before we left Enid, or at the time that we left Enid. And so I think that was the initial problem of us not like losing our power and being stuck at 40. We had several cylinders that wasn't firing due to poor connection underneath the valve cover. I have since then ordered me new valve cover harnesses and valve cover gaskets to remedy that problem should it show up again. However, we did also do the quarter mod where we take a quarter, cut the head off of it, and shove it underneath it to keep it from coming loose down bouncy roads. We left this location and went north to take care of our tanks. I decided to just do a test drive, and I had a little bit of lack of power, but I wanted to give it more of a test, so I went down. We emptied our tanks for the first time in 3 weeks. We were stretching that out. Those tanks were getting stretched out, and oh, I was so happy to empty those tanks. It was so nice. We could take an actual shower. We've been sponge bathing for like over a week. And no, I did not go take a shower in this rainstorm. That's not happening. But we went to Owl Canyon after this, and you'll have to wait till the next video to see how that went. Oh, it's so gorgeous. It's so pretty. I was so happy not to be doing work. There's still a lack of power on my system. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I think it's an electrical issue, being that other thing was an electrical issue. Or there's a good possibility we might have a clogged exhaust. I have not got down there and tested it. Like I said earlier, it popped off whenever we was doing the test drive, which it makes an excuse for why we have a lack of power from what we had originally to what we have now. Something could have crawled up into the exhaust, made a hole home, and not got out. There could also be a small rodent in there. We'll have to wait to see. But for now, it's fixed, and thank you for sticking around with me for this long. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.